also tonight, Chicagoland Cleveland Web Conference matchup between the visiting Tigers of Olivet Nazarene University and your University of St. Francis Fighting Saints. Please as we introduce tonight's starting class. This is between our visitors, the Tigers of Olivet Nazarene University. And a guard 6'4" freshman out of South Bend, Indiana, and a different family.
Good evening from the Sullivan Center in Joliet, Illinois, on the campus of the University of St. Francis, where we get set for a big-time CCAC showdown between two of the three co-leaders in the conference this year, the visiting Tigers of Olivet Nazarene University and the University of St. Francis Fighting Saints. Welcome to the broadcast. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call for what should be a thriller today between a couple of teams that both enter action with a 12-4 record in conference play. The Saints in particular have been playing some great basketball of late. We'll see if they can keep it rolling today as they win the opening tip. St. Francis in white going from right to left. Olivet's in purple from left to right for this first half. It's Joffrey Nunnally taking the ball in the opening possession and throwing it out of bounds. He was looking low for Merrick Small. It went through Small's hands and out the baseline. The starters for the Fighting Saints today are Joffrey Nunnally, Delshawn Sims, Dakota Jokin, DeMarcys Moore, and Merrick Small. Olivet takes their first possession of the game, led by their senior star Eli Edwards. He hands it off to Mason Wood. Back down in the post, it's Edwards going one-on-one with DeMarcys Moore. Should be a great matchup all game, but Edwards wins the first battle as he drives past Moore, gets the pass, and throws it down for the first 2 points of the game. Starters for Olivet, aside from Eli Edwards, are Andrew Bennett, Keegan Holder, Mason Wood, and Dylan Fay. Merrick Small underneath the hoop. No good. Rebound knocked into the hands of Mason Wood and then lost out of bounds, last touched by the Fighting Saints. It will be Olivet basketball, already ahead 2-0. First 2 points of the game came from Eli Edwards, who leads the CCAC with 23.4 points per game. This is Wood swinging it around to Keegan Holder, the redshirt freshman from Valparaiso. Holder gets a screen, going to his left, pulls up at the free throw line, finds Edwards. Edwards goes one-on-one with Moore. Fadeaway jumper is good. DeMarcys Moore couldn't have played it a whole lot better than he did, but Edwards just made a good shot over him. Those two are the reigning CCAC players of the week. Moore on defense and Edwards on offense. So that's why I say it should be a great battle all day, but so far so good for Edwards. 4 points on 2 possessions. Saints looking to strike the scoreboard for the first time. It's Dakota Joachim for 3. That's well short. And the rebound is tracked down by the freshman guard Dylan Fay of Olivet Nazarene. Couldn't have asked for a better start for the Tigers, but we're very early. Keegan Holder, stutter step, kicks it around. On the right wing, it's Andrew Bennett. Bennett gets the screen from Edwards, passes back to Edwards, who hands it right back over to Andrew Bennett. Shot clock running low for Bennett. One-on-one with Delshawn Sims. Tough jumper goes in, and right now the Saints have got to be feeling frustrated defensively. There was a breakdown on the first possession, but ever since then they've played perfectly on back-to-back possessions and have given up points both times anyway. These Tigers shooters are making great plays. 6-0 Olivet. DeMarcus Moore has it against Mason Wood. He pulls up for two and knocks down the jumper. So the Saints are on the board 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the game. Olivet has the ball with a 4-point lead. Haven't missed a shot yet. Let's see if that changes on this possession as the turnaround does not go for Keegan Holder. A little bit short. And the rebound is pulled down by Merrick Small. St. Francis trying to pull a little bit closer. The three ball is good for Delshawn Sims. 5 in a row for the Fighting Saints, and now it's just a 1-point game, a little bit over 3 minutes in. Quick turnaround here after a hot start from Olivet. The Saints wasted no time and pulling back to within a single point, and now we've got a ball game. Dylan Fay steps back behind the three-point line, fires over to Mason Wood. Back to Fay. This time he launches the three and hits it off the back iron. St. Francis can take their first lead of the game on this possession. Delshawn Sims hit the three a moment ago. This time he gives it up to Small and gets it back. Sims kicks it out to Joakim. Dakota Joakim along the baseline. Reverse layup comes up short. And Eli Edwards grabs the rebound. In addition to leading the conference in points, Edwards also leads in rebounds. Dylan Fay looks over the scene, steps back just behind the free throw line and knocks down a deuce. Good jump shot from Dylan Fay. The freshman came into play today, averaging 7.6 points per game. He's got his first two of this one. Moore, guarded by Wood, backs in. Help defense comes. He spins around it, loses the ball, and Edwards scoops it up. So Eli Edwards walks himself right into a steal. Andrew Bennett crosses over, dishes off to Edwards. This time Edwards is halted by DeMarcus Moore, and the Fighting Saints are on the run. It's Joakim, pull up from the corner. The two-pointer is good. Dakota Joakim is on the board for the first time. 3 buckets from 3 different Fighting Saints. They are back to within 1. Keegan Holder gets the screen, cutting to his left, drives the lane and drags his back foot. That's a traveling violation on Keegan Holder. And the first turnover of the game committed by Olivet Nazarene with 15:06 on the clock for the first half. Figured on this one being a close, well-played game 5 minutes in. It has not been a disappointment in that regard. Merrick Small coming off of a big game in the win against Governor State last week. Gets the pass inside, lays it up with the left hand and in. St. Francis leads for the first time this evening. 9-8 is our score. After 6 consecutive points for Olivet to start the game, it's been all St. Francis. Dylan Fay tries to change that. He misses the three. Rebound deflected around and finally scooped up by Joakim. Here comes Delshawn Sims. He was running into a 1-on-4 situation, so he waits for his teammates to get back. Small inside against Edwards, up with the left and in. Back-to-back buckets for Merrick Small. St. Francis is on an 11-2 run, and they've got a 3-point lead now as we approach 14 minutes to play in the first half. Andrew Bennett over to Mason Wood. Down the baseline, Wood flips it up and draws the foul. 6 minutes in, that's our first foul called in today's game, and it'll lead us to our first timeouts of the evening. 13:59 to play first half. 11-8 our score. St. Francis on top of Olivet Nazarene. Good start to this one. Both teams got off to hot shooting starts, although Olivet has cooled off. They made their first 3 field goals. Since then, they're just 1 for 6. St. Francis trailed 6-0. They've outscored Olivet 11-2 over the last few minutes. They are now 5 of 8 from the field, and those 5 field goals have come from 4 different players. Surprisingly, the only player who hasn't hit the scoreboard yet is Joffrey Nunnally. And Nunnally is St. Francis's best scorer over the course of the season. Came in averaging 16.8 points per game. His field goal percentage is incredible, .576. That's one of the better field goal percentages in the conference, but even more impressive when you consider that over half of his shots come from three-point range. He shoots 50%, almost exactly 50%, 49.6 from beyond the three-point line. So he is the best three-point shooter in the conference, which is great, but the fact that he also ranks 6th in the conference in field goal percentage, considering how many of those shots come from the outside, is really impressive. But all this to say, he hasn't scored yet today. He's the only one for the Fighting Saints. Hasn't even gotten a field goal attempt. So all of that's done a good job of bottling him up, but not as much with the rest of the crew. Saints are going to make some substitutions coming out of this timeout. Olivet still has their 5 starters on the floor. Saints bring in 60% at least of their second unit as Justin Morgan, Grayson Harrington, and Connor Casper hit the floor for the first time. Free throws for Mason Wood. He was fouled just prior to the timeout. Foul was called on DeMarcy's Moore. Wood makes the first free throw. Mason Wood is a 65% foul shooter, second leading scorer on the team. He's got his first point tonight, and it's just one. But the rebound is chased down by Eli Edwards. Second chance for the Tigers. Three-pointer Andrew Bennett, swish. And we are back and forth early on, 12-11 Olivet. Second lead change in the early going. Merrick Small right underneath the basket. 2 defenders in his way, puts it up anyway, misses, but gets the second chance and scores, and he's fouled. Big time play by Merrick Small. Big start to this game for Merrick Small. He's got 6 points and a free throw. Foul is called on Mason Wood, the first on the team, so it took him 6.5 minutes. But Merrick Small does miss the free throw, so the foul proves harmless. Olivet basketball. Keegan Holder works his way inside. Holder passes back out. Wood down low to Edwards, wings it across court. 3-ball for Holder. Got another one. Back-to-back threes for Olivet. Keegan Holder hits this one after Bennett got the last one, and the Tigers are back in front. Lead continues to change hands, 15-13. Casper drives, bounces it into the post for Small. He's been the hot shooter for St. Francis, but not this time. I say hot shooter, most of his points have come from in the paint. Tried to lay that one up, but got a little bit too deep under the basket. Olivet has the ball and a 2-point lead. Three-pointer, Mason Wood. They are hot right now. 3 straight three-pointers for Olivet. They've come from 3 different players. Everybody is hitting from the outside for the Tigers. And now St. Francis needs a bucket to keep pace. Joffrey Nunnally, first field goal attempt of the game, and he misses the three-pointer. Rebound to the team in purple. Keegan Holder takes it down the floor and slows it down across half court. He's picked up by Justin Morgan, and he carried the ball. Keegan Holder is called for the carry. A call you don't see every day, especially on a play like that. He was not being pressured too closely by Morgan, but got a little sloppy with the basketball. And so Olivet turns it over. Just their second turnover of the game. Each team has 2. Harrington around a screen from Small down the lane. Layup is good. What a drive by Grayson Harrington. His first points of the night. First points for the St. Francis bench today. Olivet still riding with all 5 starters. Nick Berkey has not made a move yet. Harrington is called for the foul on the Keegan Holder drive, and Holder will go to the line for two. Second foul on the Fighting Saints. It's the first on Harrington. Holder hit the three-pointer moments ago. That was part of that barrage, 3 straight threes for Olivet. He's got 4 points in the game now after making that free throw. Tigers make their first substitution, bringing in the sophomore guard Johnny Dixon. North Suburbanites from Evanston, Illinois. The second free throw goes in. 20-15 Tigers. A lot of points early in this game. Casper takes it inside himself, and he's fouled by Wood. Connor Casper, not a particularly aggressive offensive player, doesn't look for his own shot all that often, and used that to his advantage right there. The Tigers seemed a little bit caught off guard when Casper, who was initially looking to pass, decided to take it to the basket himself, and he ends up at the free throw line. Casper is a bad free throw shooter. He's just 7 for 25 this year. 3.6 points per game. Ibrahim Mobayed checks in for the Fighting Saints as Merrick Small goes to the bench for the first time. Casper goes 0 for 2. 20-15 Olivet with the ball. Their biggest lead has been 6. Edwards hasn't scored since the opening minute. Trying to change that against Mobayed, but he loses the ball out of bounds. So Edwards, the presumptive CCAC Player of the Year, who's been quiet so far today, turns it over. Leaves the door open for St. Francis to cut it back to 2 or 3 here. Nunnally still looking for his first points. Guarded tightly by Johnny Dixon. Kicks it out to Casper. Nunnally gets the screen. 5 to shoot. Step back jumper. Joffrey Nunnally off the front of the rim and rolls it in. Friendly rim today for Nunnally. That hung up there for a long time and finally rolled through. And a foul called on Justin Morgan, reaching in to try for the steal. Delshawn Sims returns to the floor for the Fighting Saints as Nunnally grabs a seat. Landon Hale will inbound for Olivet. Andrew Bennett gives it up to Holder. Holder misses on the three-pointer, and Dixon is called for going over the back of Grayson Harrington. Foul called on Olivet. It's the third foul on the Tigers, so foul numbers starting to pick up after a very clean start to this game. Well, the Fighting Saints have the ball down by 3. 4 lead changes so far in this game, but the Tigers have held the lead for the last few minutes. Morgan spins into the paint. Turnaround jumper is good. Great touch from Justin Morgan. Freshman guard from Florida getting his first points of the day. Dylan Fay drives and kicks back out to Holder. Holder, long pass into the corner. It's Dixon. Dixon pulls up, bounces back outside. Holder around a screen. Nicely done by Olivet as he gets to the rim and lays it in for 2 points. Path was sealed off by Dixon, or by Fay rather, and Holder was able to get around to score. Pass from Delshawn Sims is intercepted by Andrew Bennett. Dixon lays it up and in. Bennett read that pass all the way, came in with a big interception, and just like that, 4 quick ones for Olivet. The lead is back to 5. Harrington to Mobayed, high off the glass and in. Good control from Ibrahim Mobayed. And working fast the other way, a blocking foul is called on Harrington as Dixon took it right at him. And that is foul number 4 on St. Francis. So it will not mean free throws yet for Olivet. They'll be inbounding the ball after a timeout. I'll step aside for a moment. Good back and forth start to this one. Tight one. 24-21. Olivet on top. Back in a moment. Olivet Nazarene 24, St. Francis 21. Both these teams are 12-4 in the CCAC this year. They are tied for the top spot in the conference. Governor State is also in that tie. St. Francis just finished up their regular season series with Governor State. They lost to the Jaguars at Governor State back in early January and bounced back with a dominant victory on Saturday. Beat them 86-70 to move into this first place tie. St. Francis is trying to do something similar here against Olivet. They lost earlier in the year in Bourbonnais, but trying to get them back. I mistakenly said that wasn't a shooting foul. Obviously it was. Johnny Dixon made both free throws out of the timeout. 26-21 is our score. Grayson Harrington down low to Mobayed. Backing in on Landon Hale. He bounces off to Joachim. Dakota Joachim, jump shot is good. Two defenders in the area, they both kind of backed off. And Dakota Joachim recognized he had an opening, fired the jumper. Gets the Saints back to within 3, but Eli Edwards is going to the line on the other end. Quiet start today for Edwards, who averages over 23 points per game. I shouldn't say a quiet start. He scored 4 points in the opening minute, so it wasn't really a quiet start, but he's been quiet ever since that first minute. And now he's back on the board as he connects on the first free throw. Edwards makes 79% of his free throws for the season. He's made 100% today. 27-23, or 28-23 after making both foul shots. Sims guarded by Dixon. Passes over to Joachim. Shot clock is down to 10 already. The Saints haven't made their move yet. Now they do. Joachim bounces for Mobayed, but it's knocked loose and stolen. Here's Keegan Holder. Holder crosses to his left, pulls up on the baseline, fires outside to Eli Edwards. Down low, it's Hale. Landon Hale fighting for positioning. Back to Edwards for 3. That glances off the rim. For as good as Eli Edwards is, those deep shots are not really his game. Doesn't make very many threes. And it showed right there. DeMarcy's Mora kicks out to Sims. Delshawn Sims misses the three-pointer. And the rebound is saved by Mobayed, but picked off by Dylan Fay. Fay leads the break for Olivet, and the Saints do a good job getting back on defense. Olivet sets up their half-court set. It's Edwards. Looking inside for Fay. Ball knocked loose by Joachim and picked off by Moore. Saints on the run. It's 4-on-4. Joachim to Sims. Nice touch pass to Harrington in the corner. And Grayson Harrington is fouled. He'll take 3 free throws. So the Saints back-to-back possessions handled transition effectively. They got back defensively, did not allow a quick shot for Olivet. And then after coming up with a steal, they moved from defense to offense quickly enough to get a good shot for Harrington. He missed it, but he got fouled, and he makes the first of 3 free throws. Second shot for Harrington is good. He's got 4 points. Starters coming back in for the Saints. Nunnally will replace Harrington if he makes this third free throw. He did make all 3. So it's a 2-point Olivet lead. They've led the majority of this first half, though we have seen 4 lead changes. Neither side has been up by more than 6. Keegan Holder sets up the Tigers offense. Holder towards the sideline, working against Nunnally. Moves it back to the free throw line, passes behind him to Eli Edwards. Edwards backs in, turnaround over Moore. Gets the rim, nothing else, and a loose ball foul called on the Tigers. Olivet comes up empty. St. Francis takes over, trailing by just 2. It's been a while since they've held the lead. They could change that if they make a 3-pointer here. Small hands it to Nunnally. And Nunnally's pass is intercepted. He was trying to get it back to Small, but Eli Edwards took it away. Andrew Bennett gets it to Keegan Holder on the wing for the Tigers. Holder crosses over, backs up, bounces down low. Landon Hale going one-on-one with Moore, and DeMarcus Moore comes up with the block. Now here come the Saints. Moore to Joachim, who lays it in for the tie. Great job running the break right there. Moore and Joachim in perfect sync. And we are tied for the first time today, 28 all. Just under 6 minutes to play in the half. Holder fires inside Edwards, stripped by Sims, but a foul is called. Foul on Delshawn Sims, his first. Ryan Marks is arguing that that was not a shooting foul, but the officials are going to give Eli Edwards 2 shots. And the first one is good. It was, for Delshawn Sims, a steal attempt, not a block attempt. So if Edwards was in the process of shooting, it was very early in the process. But he does take advantage of that first free throw. Second one misses. And Small grabs the rebound. Nunnally looks across court, finds DeMarcus Moore. Moore puts it on the floor, kicks it back out to Joachim, who climbs the ladder to pull that pass down. Small handoff to Nunnally. Joffrey Nunnally pull-up jumper off the front of the rim, and Edwards tracks down the rebound. So Olivet maintains their lead for now. We'll see if they can extend it on this possession. Holder walks it back towards half court. Guarded tightly by Joachim. Crossover to the left. Holder splits the defense, gets inside, throws up a wild shot and misses, but the rebound is tipped right into the hands of Eli Edwards, who lays it in. The Saints got a good stop right there, but it was a tough rebound for them, and Edwards was able to pull it in and take advantage of the second chance. Moore over to Joachim. Bounced into the post for Merrick Small. Small up with the right hand, doesn't quite get the roll. All of a sudden, St. Francis is struggling from the field. This was a fast-scoring start, but it has cooled off considerably. Holder slows it down for the Tigers. Makes a move to the left and gives it up to Dylan Fay. Right back around, it's Andrew Bennett. Bennett pulls up for 3. Well short, out of bounds. timeout with 4:16 to play in the first half. Olivet Nazarene 31, St. Francis 28. We have seen one tie, 4 lead changes. Tigers have led most of the way, but they haven't been able to pull away. They scored the first 6 points of the game and have not led by more than 6 points since then. And in fact, after they were up 6-0, Fighting Saints immediately followed that with an 11-2 run. And it's been neck and neck ever since. So neither team has yet had anything more than a 2-score advantage. And that won't change, at least in the immediate future, because it's only a 3-point game right now, and St. Francis will have the ball coming out of this timeout. Saints are shooting 57% from the field in this first half, so they're shooting extremely well, but just 1 3-pointer so far. Olivet 48%. They've hit 3 3-pointers, and they are also at +5 from the free throw line right now. They've hit 8 of them. The Saints have hit only 3 at this stage of the game. So the Tigers have been able to maintain this lead. Saints, as I mentioned, have only hit the 1 3-pointer. Their top 3-point shooter, Joffrey Nunnally, only has 1 attempt. And that's a guy that they really want to let loose from beyond the 3-point line. But they just haven't been able to get him any open shots. The Olivet defense has done a really good job so far on Nunnally. He averages about 6 3-point attempts per game. There's plenty of time to get to that number today. They'd like to see him get going from anywhere on the floor. It doesn't really matter where. But again, just hasn't found any openings so far. Dylan Fay guarding him right now as he gives it up to DeMarcy's Moore. Moore misses on what would have been a game-tying 3-pointer. Olivet clears the rebound. Keegan Holder bounces to Eli Edwards. It's been a relatively quiet first half for Edwards, but his numbers are coming in. He sends it out to Holder. Fay with under 10 to shoot. Gives it back to Holder. Dylan Fay left alone at the top. Dribbles around Merrick Small. Finds Edwards inside, and Edwards banks it in off the block. That play broke down late. Good defense from St. Francis for over 20 seconds, but they couldn't maintain it through the end of the possession. Saints could use a bucket here. It's been a while since they've scored. DeMarcy's Moore turns to face the basket. Doesn't get him that bucket, but Merrick Small does get a rebound. Back up with it and in on the reverse. Good work, Merrick Small. He's got 8 points to lead the Fighting Saints. And they got those much-needed points. Now they look for a stop to keep it a 1-score game as Mason Wood has it poked out of his hands but gets it back. It's Holder from the free throw line, guarded tightly by Nunnally. Holder has to back it up. 7 seconds to shoot. Cross-court pass, 3-ball for Dylan Fay, and he hits his first 3-pointer of the game. 4 3-pointers for Olivet. They've come from 4 different players. 5 points for Fay. The scoring has been very balanced. Back to a 6-point game. The Tigers match their biggest lead today. Nunnally crosses over on Fay, gets to the baseline, kicks it outside. DeMarcy's Moore dribbles in with the left hand, and he's guarded a little bit too tightly by Andrew Bennett. Foul called, and the Saints will get to inbound from the baseline. That's the 6th foul on the Tigers. So both teams have now hit their foul limit for the first half. We'll have free throws the rest of the way. Not on this one, though. Connor Casper comes in for DeMarcy's Moore. Just over 2 minutes to play in the first half, and Olivet, who has led most of this game, wants to create some separation before halftime. Fighting Saints have other plans. It's Small, giving it up to Joachim. Back to Merrick Small, 6 to shoot. Small takes it inside, lays it up and in from the left side. Got it right over Eli Edwards. Merrick Small's been the go-to guy today for St. Francis. He's got 10 of their 32 points, keeping it close here late in the first half. Inside Edwards, and Edwards is fouled from behind by Merrick Small. So Eli Edwards is going to the free throw line. First foul called on Small. 1-1 for Edwards. Eli Edwards is 3 of 4 from the free throw line so far today. He misses the front end. The rebound is grabbed by Dakota Joachim off the tip. So the Saints do end up getting the stop as Edwards misses the first in a 1-1. Casper gives it to Joachim, swung around Nunnally. Merrick Small gives it back to Delshawn Sims, 12 to shoot. Sims from the corner, works the baseline, gives it off to Casper, through his hands, but he keeps it alive. Nunnally, step back jumper with the shot clock running low, bounces off the front of the rim. Casper fights for the rebound, but it's lost out of bounds. Olivet basketball with just under a minute to play in the first half. Keegan Holder sprints across half court and calls a timeout. 36-32, Olivet leads. 54 seconds to play in the half. There will be 24 on the shot clock for the Tigers once we're ready to go once again. Merrick Small, 10.7 rebounds in this first half for St. Francis. Eli Edwards is matching him. 11 points, 5 rebounds for Edwards. And I mentioned a few minutes ago, it has felt in many ways like a quiet first half for Edwards because he got those 4 early points and then went quiet for a long time. But he's so important to this Olivet team. He touches the ball on pretty much every possession. So even when it seems like he hasn't been all that active, he's still putting up numbers. And he's done that again today already in double figures in this game. But the big key for Olivet, and the reason they've got the lead right now, is their three-point shooting. 4 for 9 compared to St. Francis's 1 for 5. So even though the Saints have made more field goals overall, Olivet has been able to stay in front. Keegan Holder walks it to the three-point line, and we've got a foul called on Olivet. The pass from Holder was intended for Eli Edwards under the basket, and it sailed over Edwards' head. But it doesn't matter because Dylan Fay at the same time was called for an off-ball foul. So a turnover committed by Olivet, and the Saints can pull to within a single possession here going into halftime. Sims stuck in the corner, gives it up to Merrick Small. Small works his way down low, double teamed in the post, has it blocked out of bounds. It'll stay with the Fighting Saints, 14 on the shot clock. I believe it was Landon Hale who got his hand on that, but it was hard to see because there were 3 defenders around him. DeMarcus Moore is back in offensively for Connor Casper here. Sims is the trigger man on the inbounds play. Lobbed into the corner for Nunnally, who does a good job checking the feet to make sure he stays in bounds. Merrick Small drives and kicks. Joachim for 3, no. Saints still looking for something from the outside. DeMarcus Moore is called for a loose ball foul, and that sends Olivet to the free throw line. First foul on DeMarcus Moore. Andrew Bennett goes to the free throw line where he makes a lot more than he misses. 84% on the season. And he makes the front end of the 1-on-1 here. 37-32. The Tigers can match their biggest lead of the night if Bennett makes this one. Got them both. St. Francis can hold on for the last shot of the half right here. They've been able to keep this game close despite trailing for the strong majority of the first half. And prior to taking their last possession before halftime, Coach Ryan Marks calls a timeout so they could draw something up for the final 14.7 seconds. Talked about Olivet's three-point shooting a moment ago. They're now +7 on free throws as well, 10 of 13, compared to St. Francis's 3 of 6. So that's another big part of the reason that they've got the lead. St. Francis is controlling the interior. But right now that has not been enough to overtake Olivet. Tigers beat the Fighting Saints early in the season. Back in December, the score was 74-55. Not really much of a match, and I'd like to say St. Francis is a much better team now than they were then, and that's probably true. They do come into today having won 6 games in a row, but they were playing well back then, too. That was their first loss of the season when they ran into Olivet. And they just didn't have it that night. So today, trying to get some revenge. They trail by 6, 7 seconds to play in the half. Small over to Nunnally. Joffrey Nunnally for 3, off the rim. Rebound to Bennett, and Bennett full court heave is not going to go before halftime. So we have reached the midway point of today's game. It's been close throughout, but Olivet does carry their biggest lead of the night into the intermission. 38-32 is our score with 20 minutes of basketball still in front of us. It's anybody's game here in Joliet. I'll be back in about 15 minutes with first half stats and second half coverage. 6-point lead for the visitors at the break. It's the start of the second half. In just a moment here from St. Francis, Terry Bonadonna with you as the Fighting Saints take on the Tigers of Olivet Nazarene. Good first half. It was close all the way through. In fact, our margin right now of 38-32 in favor of Olivet is the biggest lead that either team has had during today's game, although it's not the first time that Olivet has led by as many as 6. They were up 6-0 before the Saints came storming back. So we'll see if they can do something similar to start the second half. Looking at some of the first half numbers, some of the key numbers, both teams shot well. 50% for the Saints, 52% for the Tigers, but the two big differences offensively, three-point shooting. Olivet made 4 threes, 4 of 9. St. Francis went just 1 of 7 shooting three-pointers, so a big advantage there for the Tigers. Free throws were another big advantage for the Tigers. They went 10 of 13. The Saints just 3 for 6, taking foul shots in that first half. Everything else was largely even, 5 turnovers apiece. Rebounds were close, Olivet 17, St. Francis 13. Saints dominated the inside, 16 points in the paint, just 8 for Olivet Nazarene. Individually, it's been a battle of the big men. Merrick Small, 10.7 rebounds for St. Francis. Olivet stars Eli Edwards, 11 points, 5 boards. As we are underway now in the second half, Tigers take the first possession, now going from right to left. Edwards gets his first touch inside against DeMarcy's Moore, scoots right around Moore, but Moore strips him from behind, and he's called for the foul. Edwards slid right around DeMarcy's Moore, made a nice move, but Moore got him from behind, and it looked initially like he had stripped the ball cleanly, and the Saints might get the steal, but he was then called for the foul. So it'll stay with Olivet as Moore picks up his second foul of the game. Inbounds pass goes to Edwards, this time guarded by Merrick Small, and Small forces the miss, but Edwards is able to keep it alive, tipping the rebound out to Keegan Holder. Edwards in the paint, knocks it down. Game high 13 points for Eli Edwards. The lead is up to 8 for Olivet, their biggest. Lobbed inside for Merrick Small. Small throws it up and in. He's got 12, and the deficit is right back to 6. Here's Keegan Holder. Holder passes off to Bennett. Mason Wood at the top of the key, guarded tightly by Dakota Joachim. Shoveled out to Bennett. Shot clock running under 10 seconds as Bennett pulls up and misses well short on the jumper. He thought maybe there was a foul there. Joachim dribbles between a few defenders and kicks it out to DeMarcy's Moore. Merrick Small at the top of the key, bounces once and gives it up to Delshawn Sims. Sims down low, Merrick Small. Small double team, back to Sims. Joffrey Nunnally sitting on just 2 points so far today. Bounces over to Small, shot clock at 4. DeMarcy's Moore, top of the key, knocks down the 3. Just the second made three-pointer of the game for St. Francis. That is a big one as they try to capture momentum here. 5 points in a row for the Fighting Saints, and they're back within 3. Here's Holder, pulling it up top. Holder picks it up, looking for help, finds Mason Wood. Wood down low, Edwards, going one-on-one with Moore. Edwards turns his back to the basket, backs his way in, turnaround jumper off the rim, no good. And a loose ball foul is called on Olivet Nazarene. Number 3 on Mason Wood. First player on either team to pick up 3 fouls. We'll see if Nick Berkey sticks with him in the game. At least for the time being, he will. 17:52 to play in the second half. St. Francis has very quickly worked their way back from 8 points down. They could tie the score now on a 3. They hit only 1 3-pointer in the first half, but Moore just hit one. So maybe that'll light a spark under them. Certainly did for Joffrey Nunnally, a 2-pointer from the baseline. Just the second field goal of the game for Joffrey Nunnally, but it pulls St. Francis to within 1. Dylan Fay passes off to Mason Wood. Back up top, it's Bennett. Holder drives on Joachim, spins, turnaround jumper, tough shot, but he got it. Good play by Holder. Very impressive freshman guard for Olivet. He's up to 9 points in the game. Holder entered play today, averaging 10, for the season, so he's right around that number. Still one possession game as DeMarcus Moore gets the fake inside. Got Wood to jump, tried to take it at Wood, who's playing with 3 fouls, but Wood held his ground, and Moore was not able to hit down low. Bennett bounces in the post for Edwards. Eli Edwards nearly loses his balance, misses the shot. Offensive rebound, Wood. Right back to Edwards, blocked by DeMarcus Moore. Kept alive by Dylan Fay with the shot clock now at 11. Number 11, Holder, in possession of the ball. Tries the three-pointer, and he's fouled by Joffrey Nunnally. Holder's a good outside shooter, but Nunnally left him open, and he paid for it. Tried to close in late, and he ended up fouling. Holder will get 3 free throws. Really not a high percentage three-point shooter, but he's been on target all day today from wherever he shot. Well, not from the free throw line here as he misses his first. Hit both of his attempts in the first half. Holder's a 74% foul shooter. 2 more. He gets the second. Still a big advantage for Olivet. These are the first free throw attempts of the second half, but after this one, it'll be 16 for the Tigers. Only 6 attempts today for the Saints. And that disparity is a big part of the reason the score is what it is. So he makes 2 out of 3. 44-39, 11 points now for Holder. Merrick Small drives the lane. Small kicks it out to Moore. Corner 3, no, a little bit short. And the rebound is chased down by Fay. Holder speeds up and slows down. Walks it off to the near side, near the wing. Crosses over on Nunnally. This time Nunnally playing him tight and a little too tight as he's called for the foul. Nunnally backed off, played a loose defense on the last possession, led him to foul the three-point shooter. This time he picks up the defensive pressure and he's called for a foul on the floor. So 2 on Nunnally now. 15:54 to play in the second half. Ball goes into Landon Hale, who's out there in place of Mason Wood. Holder crosses to the top, dribbles off to his left, and backs up behind the three-point line. Landon Hale gives to Andrew Bennett. Bennett curling around the screen, drains the jumper. 9 points for Bennett. 7-point lead for Olivet. They were up by 8. Saints cut it to 1, and 6 in a row for the Tigers since then. Small goes one-on-one with Edwards, kicks it out to Sims, right back into the post. That's Merrick Small. Defenders come over to help. Small misses, but Moore is there for the rebound. And that's the benefit of having a hot hand down low. Merrick Small got all that extra defensive attention, left Moore unboxed out on the rebound as Joffrey Nunnally misses on the second chance. That offensive board goes for naught. Yeah, Olivet can claim their biggest lead of the game with a basket here. Knocked away from Holder, loose ball. Delshawn Sims scoops it up. Good team defense and a good drive from Sims as he gets around Bennett and scores. A steal and a layup for Delshawn Sims. He's got 5 points. DeMarcus Moore looking for the steal. Ball loose on the floor. And we've got a shared possession. It'll be St. Francis ball after a timeout. 14:25 to play. Second half. Olivet Nazarene 46. St. Francis 41. Fighting Saints ball. Once we're ready to resume plays. The Saints playing with a lot of intensity right now. They're shooting the ball well, 50% from the field, and they have forced back-to-back turnovers after each team had only committed 5 through the first 15 minutes, the first 25 minutes actually. 2 on successive possessions for Olivet. St. Francis +7 right now in points off turnovers. They've outscored the Tigers 11-4. The other place they've had the big advantage, I've called it out a few times already, Points in the paint right now, 20-8 in favor of the Fighting Saints. And for the most part, that's been Merrick Small, who's got 12 points, and the majority of those from the inside. So the Saints are playing a good, well-balanced offensive game, and now they're picking up their defense as well. The one thing they have not been able to do on offense is that three-point shooting. They got the big one from DeMarcus Moore early this half, but so far that's been it. Hard to imagine they won't get a few more before all is said and done. 38% three-point shooting team on the season, and granted, they've been without Colton Hanson now. This is the seventh game in a row that he's been missing, and he was one of their best three-point shooters prior to going out. But nobody has been better than Joffrey Nunnally. I mean, nobody in the entire CCAC. So he's had a rough shooting night so far, but you'd think it's only a matter of time before he finds something. Justin Morgan, Grayson Harrington, and Connor Casper are on the floor for the Fighting Saints as we resume play out of the timeout. Nunnally bounces to Harrington. Harrington around the screen, drives to his right, pulls up at the free throw line, kicks it back outside. Here's Merrick Small in the post, feeding Connor Casper underneath the basket. Right back out to Small. He finds Justin Morgan, open three, good. Justin Morgan's got 5. The Saints are within 2. Third three-pointer of the game for the Fighting Saints, and they are starting to find that stroke now. Bennett drives to his left. Bennett loses the ball and knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Olivet. St. Francis forces another turnover. That's 3 in a row committed by the Tigers after they only had 5 all game prior to that. 46-44. Morgan knocked down the 3 last possession. This time he gives it up. Swung around to the right wing. It's Nunnally. Nunnally gets the screen. Fights his way inside. Kicks it into the corner. Grayson Harrington back up top. Morgan. 5 to shoot. It's Merrick Small. Small puts it on the floor. Has to force one up. In traffic. Scores off the glass. With the shot clock at 1. A beautiful drive from Merrick Small to tie the score. 46. 13 minutes to play. Hale back up top to Holder. Bennett, deep three-pointer off the front of the rim. And St. Francis can take their first lead in a long time here. Grayson Harrington, floater from the baseline is good. First lead for the Fighting Saints since it was 13-12. It's our 5th lead change, and a timeout is called by Olivet. The Tigers were up 46-39, but for the second time today, St. Francis has gone on a big run to overtake them. It happened early, back when the score was 6-0. Saints went on that 11-2 run. And then they went back and forth a few times before Olivet reclaimed the lead, and they held it ever since until seconds ago. Right now the Saints are on a 9-0 run. And then they have gotten the crowd into the game. They've gotten the bench into the game. They're riding the momentum right now of this 9-0 spurt. Merrick Small up to 14 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. It's been a big game for him. Coming off a big game against Governor State the last time the Fighting Saints took the floor. They came into that game against Governor State on Saturday, trailing both Governor State and Olivet Nazarene by 1 game in the conference standings, but by winning that one, they moved into a tie. Olivet moved into that tie as well. All 3 teams at 12-4. I guess Saints were not trailing Olivet at the time, they were tied. Both teams won on Saturday, and Governor State lost, and then they were all 3 of them tied. Saints came into today's game on a 6-game winning streak. The Tigers have won 3 in a row. They dropped 4 or 5 before that, rediscovered their footing, and they were riding high, going all the way up until a couple of minutes ago. 3-game winning streak, 7-point lead over St. Francis, and all of a sudden the Fighting Saints have gotten hot again. They've got 9 straight points, and they've got the lead as Olivet takes possession out of the timeout. Mason Wood fakes the 3, passes it off to Dylan Fay, who takes the 3. That's no good. Rebound deflected and out of bounds. We're going the other way. St. Francis's biggest lead today has been 3 points. That was at 11-8. They can surpass that with a basket here. Morgan to Nunnally. Nunnally drives to the baseline, and he comes up short at the rim. Tried for the layup from the left side, but Olivet gets the stop. Holder near the sideline. Takes it into the corner, gives it up to Edwards. Eli Edwards has been quiet lately. Hands it off to Johnny Dixon. Dixon runs into a wall, has to kick it back out. Holder with the shot clock getting low, steps into the paint. Off balance shot is good. Keegan Holder continues to score from uncomfortable looking angles. He's been doing it all night. He ties up Edwards for a team high with 13 points. We're tied at 48. Nunnally gets in close, draws the contact, no foul as he misses. Second chance, Small, yes, and a foul. Another big play from Merrick Small. They've been coming all night. Foul called on Dylan Fay. And Small looks to make this a 3-point game. He missed his only free throw attempt so far. 77% shooter overall this season. Dakota Joachim is back in the game. Joffrey Nunnally gets his first rest of the second half. And Merrick Small misses again on the free throw. So not able to make it a 3-point game, but the Saints do have the lead back. Drive from Holder, and he's stopped by Harrington. Dixon dives on the floor to pull in that loose ball, and we've got a tie-up. It'll stay with Olivet. "14 seconds on the shot clock. Holder took it up there, but didn't get the rim as Grayson Harrington came up with the stop. Inbounded to Wood. Not a ton of time to operate here for Olivet. They've got to find a shot quickly. Dixon over to Edwards. Edwards looks inside. Drives on Merrick Small. Shot clock running out. Edwards has to force it up. No good. And Harrington comes away with the rebound. That's a stop for the Saints. Dakota Joachim backs it up. Slows things down for St. Francis. They're playing with the lead, something they haven't done a lot today. Casper looks inside for Morgan, doesn't have him. Directs him back outside and gives the ball up. Now it's Harrington, lob to Merrick Small. Good bounce pass to Grayson Harrington. Can't quite finish at the rim. Bench calling for a foul. It's not coming. Mason Wood over to Keegan Holder. Olivet slows it down. They'll work the full possession. Holder spins into the paint, floats it with the right hand, and misses short. Harrington grabs the loose ball. Just under 10 minutes to play. We've passed the halfway mark of this second half. Joachim loses the ball. It's on the floor, and we're going to get another tie-up here. Possession arrow favors St. Francis this time. And we've got a timeout on the floor with 9:47 to play. It's St. Francis 50, Olivet 48, a barn burner here at the Sullivan Center. I'll take a break. Back in just a moment. 50-48, St. Francis on top of Olivet. 9:47 to play. We've had 3 ties. We've had 5 lead changes. The entire game, save for a couple seconds here and there, has been played within 2 possessions in either direction. So it has been close all the way through. And it is St. Francis basketball here trying to take their biggest lead of the night. Merrick Small lines it up for 3 and rattles it in. It is the biggest lead of the game for St. Francis, 53-48, as Merrick Small hits just his 4th 3-pointer of the season. Wood dishes it off inside. Eli Edwards banks it in. A big bucket for Edwards. He had gone quiet. Those are his first points in over 10 minutes of game time. 3-point lead for the Fighting Saints. Joachim lobs it in for Small, and Merrick Small is fouled. And if that call goes against Mason Wood, it's his 4th. It is not on Wood, it's on Edwards. And that's a rare case, I think, if you're Nick Berkey, where you're very grateful the foul was called on Eli Edwards. It's only his first. Small's first free throw is good. 20 points for Merrick Small. Second shot off the rim. So that's the one area that Small continues to struggle in tonight. He's just 1 of 4 from the free throw line. He's been near perfect everywhere else. Holder drives. Holder shuffles his feet inside, and that's a traveling violation. There have been a spate of turnovers in this second half for Olivet. Something that was not an issue early in the game and has become an issue over the last 10 minutes or so of game time. 5 turnovers in the first half, 4 of them since the 15-minute mark of the second half. Joachim bounces in the post for Small. Small goes one-on-one with Edwards. Help comes in. He kicks it out to a wide-open shooter. Joachim off the mark on the 3. Good tip out on the rebound. Connor Casper. Justin Morgan, open look. Got it. Second 3-pointer of the game for Morgan. And St. Francis has their biggest lead. 57-50. They've gone on an 18-4 run. Olivet needs to find some kind of momentum here. Edwards fighting hard in the post, makes a good move to his right and spins towards the basket to lay it in and make it a 5-point game. 17 points for Edwards. This is Joachim out to Casper, swung around right side, Grayson Harrington. Harrington uses the Merrick Small screen. Small sets another one. Harrington drives back to his right. Bounces to Small, who tries to find Casper under the rim. And it goes through the hands of Connor Casper and out of bounds. And that'll send Ryan Marks to his bench as he brings the rest of his starters back in. Nunnally and Moore return to the floor. Delshawn Sims. Merrick Small has not sat down in this second half. He's been too valuable to this St. Francis comeback. It hasn't been a big comeback. They were never down by more than 8. But now they lead by 5, so it's a 13-point turnaround. Floated towards the basket by Mason Wood, off the rim, and the rebound is deflected out to Keegan Holder. Holder wide open for 3, and it's a 2-point game. It's been a big night for Keegan Holder, 16 points. That's his second 3-pointer for a guy who doesn't take a ton of them over the course of the season. Delshawn Sims loses the ball, knocked away from behind by Bennett, but chased down by Dakota Joachim. Here's Small from the free throw line, driving, kicked outside. Delshawn Sims, air ball on the 3-pointer, and a loose ball foul called against Olivet. That's on Holder, and it could turn out to be a critical foul. That was an air ball, so it would not have reset the shot clock. If the Saints had grabbed that rebound without the foul being called, they still would have only had less than 2 seconds to shoot. Instead, the shot clock resets to 20 as the pass comes into Small, and Merrick Small is fouled. There's a tussle between Small and Edwards to retrieve that inbounds pass, but once he got it, Small took it right up and got himself back to the line. Small scored 22 in the critical victory over Governor State on Saturday. He's at 20 points today. He misses another free throw. So it'll still be a one-possession game regardless of what happens here. Still a lot of time in this game. Not really counting possessions at this point. Small makes one of two. He's at 21 points. Holder bounces down low for Edwards. Edwards guarded by Moore. Edwards backs in, kicks out to Bennett. Andrew Bennett tries to get it back to Edwards. Pass deflected by Delshawn Sims. It's loose on the floor, and DeMarcus Moore comes away with it. From the ground, Moore was able to get it off to Merrick Small. And now a blocking foul called on Olivet Nazarene. That'll go on Keegan Holder, his second, at number 6 on the Tigers. So they've hit their limit. Could mean a lot of free throws over the last 6 minutes for the Fighting Saints. Need to clean up that spot on the floor before we're able to continue. 5:54 to play, 58-55 St. Francis. They trailed by 6 at the half. Olivet scored immediately to start the second half. That made it an 8-point game, and that was the biggest lead that either team has had today. But the Fighting Saints have fought back. They have found their rhythm from the outside. After starting 1 of 7 from three-point range, they're 4 for their last 7. Joffrey Nunnally fakes the deep 3, gives it up instead to Joakim. Merrick Small from the elbow, puts it on the floor, spins inside, looking for the outside help, finds Delshawn Sims, who knocks down the 3. Just barely kept his foot behind that line. He doubles St. Francis's lead, 61-55. Mason Wood over to Keegan Holder. Olivet could sure use a bucket right here. Bennett gives to Wood. Wood tries the long 3. It's short. And a long rebound chased down by Holder. Another chance for Olivet. Wood under the basket, flips it up and misses. Rebound off the hands of Merrick Small and out of bounds. 4:59 to play. Timeout, 61-55. St. Francis has the 6-point lead. And the Fighting Saints trying to hold on defensively. It's been a rough second half on the offensive side for Olivet. Just 17 points since halftime. They're 7 of 20 from the field. I mentioned those 3-point numbers for St. Francis. They started 1 for 7. Since then, they're 5 for 8. Well, Olivet was 4 for 9 in the first half. They're just 1 of 4 here in the second half. So the shooting numbers have completely reversed, very much in St. Francis's favor now. Overall, the Saints are at 52% and 40% on threes. Olivet's at 44% and 39% on threes. Adding to that, St. Francis has only turned the ball over 1 time in the second half. Olivet has 5 turnovers in the second half. So those numbers between the turnovers and the field goal percentage gives you a pretty clear indication of why this game has reversed the way that it has. Not that Olivet was ever running away with it. Their biggest lead has been 8, but that's a 14-point turnaround for St. Francis, who now leads this game by 6. They've been up by as many as 7, although that 7-point lead lasted less than a single possession. So it's a very quick comeback from that for Olivet. Similarly, the biggest lead for the Tigers was 8, but the Saints erased that in a hurry. So this has been a close game all the way through, regardless of who's been on top. And it's been the Tigers more often than it has the Saints. But neither team at any stage of this game has ever had reason to feel comfortable with their advantage. It's been going back and forth. But Olivet is going to have to make a run soon, trailing by 6 with now under 5 minutes. Holder slices right down the lane and lays it up with the left hand. Good drive by Holder, who's now got 18 points. Been a big game for the redshirt freshman. DeMarcy's Moore over to Joffrey Nunnally. Nunnally gets the screen from Moore. Gives it back to DeMarcy's Moore. Quiet day offensively for Joffrey Nunnally. He lobs it inside for Merrick Small. Small up with the left hand, no good. Fay is there for the rebound. 4-point game. Clock ticking down close to 4 minutes. Holder gets the screen down to the corner. Passes out to Mason Wood. High arcing three-pointer. Clangs off the back of the rim. And Moore goes high for the rebound. Big defensive stand that time for the Fighting Saints. Delshawn Sims bounces to Small, knocked out of his hands, but he chases it down. Possession kept alive. Sims working against Andrew Bennett. Looks for Small inside, doesn't have him, so he gives it up instead to Joffrey Nunnally. Moore throws it away. He was looking for Joakim, but the two of them not exactly on the same page, and so Holder is able to come away with the easy interception. Fay up top to Wood. Wood looking for Bennett, who has to fight through traffic to receive that pass. Fay looks inside, trying to find Edwards, and Edwards is grabbed from behind by Merrick Small. Second foul on Merrick Small. It's only the 4th on the Saints, so not an especially costly foul. They still have 2 more to give before they'd send Olivet to the free throw line. Edwards backs in on Moore. Eli Edwards makes a good move to the rim and lays it in. 19 for Eli Edwards. It's been a quiet 19, if you can call it that. If you would ever call 19 points quiet. He's gone through long scoreless stretches. He is keeping his team in the game now. Nunnally has it ripped out of his hands by Holder, and it's called a jump ball. So a good reach in by Holder creates the turnover, as Olivet does have the possession arrow. Coming down to the wire here in Joliet. 2:40 to play, 2-point game. Olivet can tie or reclaim the lead. Holder around the screen, pull up from the free throw line, lets Nunnally blow by him and knocks down the jumper. What a game it has been for Keegan Holder. 20 points, 7 of 12 shooting. It is a new career high for him scoring-wise. And he has tied it up at 61. Merrick Small, great move around Edwards and has the finish. Just enough touch on that ball to roll it in off the front of the rim. 23 for Merrick Small, and the Saints lead by 2. Holder has been the go-to guy lately. Off the glass, no good. Rebound tracked down by Dylan Fay, and a timeout called by Nick Berkey. Over on the Olivet Nazarene sideline, 63-61. A minute 47 to play and a big possession for the Tigers. They'll resume it with 18 on the shot clock. These two teams are tied for the top of the CCAC with Governor State. So one of them will definitely still be in first place at the end of the night. One of them will definitely not. And then the question is, what about Governor State? They're in pretty good shape right now. 10-point lead late against Calumet. That game has a little over 6 minutes left, so it's not over. But if that score does hold, then these two teams will be fighting still for a tie for first place in the conference. Both teams are done with Governor State for the year. St. Francis split with them. Olivet played them only once, and they lost. So I guess if you're Governor State, you're rooting for Olivet in this game because you know you've got the tiebreaker over them. For the Saints, it'll come down to a later tiebreaker, not head-to-head, depending on how things finish up. Of course, if it's a three-way tie, then I'm not nearly smart enough to figure out what the tiebreaker would be. We're back underway. Olivet has the ball down by 2. Three-pointer for the lead. Wood misses it short, and Merrick Small rips that rebound out of the air. It's a double-double today for Merrick Small. Also closing in on a career high in scoring. He's got 23 points. Delshawn Sims looks for Small in the posts, elects not to make that pass, gives it up to Nunnally instead. Nunnally finds Sims for 3. Delshawn Sims has gotten hot. His third three-pointer of the game. It's the Saints by 5. And a foul called on Sims on the other end. Still only the 5th on St. Francis, so again, not a terrible foul there. I don't think Sims wanted to foul him, but it does not send the Tigers to the free throw line. Bennett misses the deep 3, but the long rebound goes to Dylan Fay. Under a minute to play. Olivet needs a basket here. It is Fay trying to get around Small. He does, and he lays it in. 3-point game. 15 seconds separate the shot and game clocks here, so Olivet doesn't need to foul. They can play this straight up, but they do need a stop. If St. Francis scores here and takes a 2-score lead with less than 20 seconds remaining in the game, they will be in pretty good position. Saints trying to put this thing away. It's Merrick Small working against Wood. Kicked out to Sims. He's had the hot hand, decides not to shoot the 3, takes it inside instead, kicked out to Nunnally off the back iron on the deep 3-pointer, and Olivet has the ball back. 10 seconds to play. Timeout called just across half court with 7.7 showing on the clock. 66-63 St. Francis, and Olivet has one possession to go, trying to tie this score up and take it to overtime. One would imagine here the Saints would look to foul. They've only committed 5 of them, so the next one would not send Olivet to the free throw line. And then the question for the Tigers is how quickly do you look to get a shot off? Because St. Francis almost certainly will be looking to foul after a couple of seconds, if not immediately, just to throw the Tigers off, force them to inbound it again. And if they commit 1 here, then that would put the Tigers in the bonus, which would put into play the idea of committing another foul and potentially then sending Olivet to the free throw line. Wouldn't even potentially send them to the line. If they commit 2 fouls, it would definitely send them to the line for 2 shots or a 1-and-1 rather than give them an opportunity to make a 3. Keegan Holder's been the hottest shooter today for Olivet. He's not their best three-point shooter. Their best three-point shooter would probably be either Andrew Bennett or Mason Wood. Both guys are better than 40% for the season. Holder is the inbounder. Eli Edwards is their best scorer, but not much of an outside shooter. So we'll see who they try to get the ball into. It is Edwards. Edwards steps back and hands it off to Bennett, and he is fouled with 5.2 on the clock. So now you get into that position that I was just talking about. St. Francis has hit their foul limit. So if Olivet is not able to get a quick shot off here, the Saints could foul them and send them to the line for a 1-and-1 rather than let them go for the tie. This time it's Wood inbounding into Holder. Keegan Holder steps up, deep 3, we're tied. Unbelievable. Keegan Holder has been spectacular tonight. He would not typically be your first or your second option to take a 3, but tonight he's been the number 1 option for any shot. for Olivet Nazarene. A guy who is less than a 30% three-point shooter for the season. Hits his third of the game. He's 3 for 4 from three-point range. 23 points in the game for Holder, a new career high for him. And he has knotted the score up at 66 with 1.9 seconds on the clock. And now the question for St. Francis after they called the timeout is, what do you do here? You could go for the long-range pass and try to set up a shot to beat the buzzer and avoid overtime, but the risk in that is they have to go the length of the floor. If they try to make a full-court pass and end up throwing it away, which is always a possibility on a long pass like that, Olivet would get to inbound from right under the basket. So that would be a lot scarier. The other option for the Saints would be to just inbound it short and go for the long, nearly full court heave, but Olivet's not going to pressure the ball here. DeMarcy's Moore throws it all the way down the floor to Merrick Small. Turnaround three, off the mark, and we're going overtime. Well, in a game like this, overtime feels appropriate. It has been an awesome basketball game tonight between two teams that are tied for first place in the conference, and watching this game, you can see why. It's been a really fun game, a really clean game. Both teams have gone through shooting droughts at various times, but both teams have recovered. They've hit big shots, big plays made on defense on both sides. It's just been a fun game between two really good teams. And so why not do it for another 5 minutes? Merrick Small, 23 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists tonight. Has been spectacular for the Fighting Saints on a night where their top scorer, their top shooter, has just not had a typical night. 2 for 10 from the field for Joffrey Nunnally. Delshawn Sims has stepped up. He's been the go-to guy from beyond the three-point line. He's made 3 threes, 11 points. For Olivet, Eli Edwards, 19 points tonight, but Keegan Holder has been their star. Holder has 23 points. He hit the three with 1.9 seconds remaining, which is the reason that this game isn't over right now. 3 for 4 from three-point range for Holder. Keegan Holder's three-point percentage this season for Olivet Nazarene has been just 25. He'd only hit 11 threes all year. He's got 3 of them today. And he has stepped up at times where the Saints have bottled up Eli Edwards. And Edwards has not had a bad game by any means, but St. Francis has played tough enough defense on him that he just hasn't been able to get anything easily. Sometimes, though, that does open up shots for other guys, and today Holder is the one who has benefited from that. He's created some really good shots for himself, 8 of 14 from the field. As a team, St. Francis at 51% right now, Olivet at 46%, and we're underway in overtime. Or are we? The clock started to run, so I'll say we are, but it is going to be a redo on the tip. Merrick Small against Eli Edwards. It's been an exciting matchup all night. Tip is won by Small, and St. Francis gets the first possession in overtime. Saints trying to win their 7th consecutive game. That would match their season-long winning streak. Last time they had a 7-game streak, it was ended by Olivet. Merrick Small looks right, turns left, and hands to Dakota Joachim. Joachim along the baseline, kicks it outside to DeMarcy's Moore. Here's Merrick Small in the paint. Good pass to DeMarcy's Moore. Moore gets it off in time, scores, and draws the foul. Merrick Small made that pass late in the shot clock. Moore was not able to receive it cleanly. There was a slight juggle there, and there was a serious question as to whether or not he would even get it out of his hands in time. He did just barely before the buzzer. And he took the contact, now with a chance to make it a three-point play. Free throws have been the Saints' bugaboo today. 5 for 11 from the line. We'll see if they turn that around here in overtime. They do not, at least not in the short term. 5 of 12 now on free throws, but they do have a 2-point lead. 68-66. Holder hands it to Dylan Fay. Mason Wood passes to his left. It's Bennett. Over to Edwards. Handoff, Holder. Holder gives it up top to Dylan Fay. Open three, but he missed it. Rebound grab by Joffrey Nunnally. The Saints are trying to build a multi-possession lead here in overtime. Already more than a minute into the overtime period. Small gives it off to Joakim. Inside, this is Moore. Step back jumper to Marcy's Moore, has 4 in a row. DeMarcy's Moore was held to just 5 points in regulation. He's already got 4 in overtime, just a minute and a half in. Holder gives to Fay. Fay up top, guarded by Moore, looking to beat him off the dribble. Passes off to Andrew Bennett. Bennett fakes the three, drives by Delshawn Sims, and he's fouled from behind. Foul is called on Dakota Joakim. And that'll send Bennett to the line for a 1-and-1. Andrew Bennett has 9 points this evening. And he makes the first free throw. He's got 10. Second shot is good. He made them both. Back to a 2-point game. 70-68, St. Francis. Saints trailed the majority of the game. They took the lead late, though. Haven't given it up since. Ball knocked away, loose on the floor, and we've got a jump ball. It's going to Olivet. Saints turn it over. It seems amazing for as long in this game as Olivet was in front, they haven't held a lead in about 15 minutes of game time. Saints' biggest advantage was 7. Tigers led by as many as 8. That was in the opening minute of the second half. Most recently for Olivet, they were up 46-39. Saints followed that up with an 18-4 run to take control, and they have not given up the lead ever since. We've obviously been tied since then. Otherwise, we wouldn't be playing overtime. In all, there have been 5 ties, 5 lead changes, which really, considering how close this game has been, are not big numbers, but it has been tight all the way through. Edwards drives on Moore. Edwards looking for the tie, and he's got it. 70 all. Eli Edwards up to 21 points in the game. Averaging 23.5 for the season coming in. Halfway through the overtime, and nothing's been decided. We're still tied. DeMarcy's Moore looking for another 2. Missed it this time, but the rebound goes to Merrick Small. Back up with the left and in. Merrick Small has his first points of overtime. He has tied his career high with 25 points in the game. That career high was just set a couple of weeks ago. Holder passes to his left, gets it right back from Fay. More than half the shot clock used up as Holder drives, gets to the rim, and draws the foul. Number 4 on DeMarcy's Moore. 2 free throws coming up for Keegan Holder. So a rough foul for 2 reasons. 4 on Moore, so he's in trouble, and now a chance for Holder to tie the score from the line. Makes the first at 72-71. Team leading 24 points for Holder, the redshirt freshman of Northwest Indiana. hit them both. It's 72 all. 2:01 to play in overtime. Saints scored 4 quick ones to start OT. Just 2 points since then. Merrick Small gets the entry pass from Moore, going one-on-one with Edwards, and he's fouled. Holder came in to help, nearly knocked the ball loose from Small. But Small was able to hold on to it, took it up over Edwards, and draws the 3rd foul on Eli Edwards. 2 shots for Merrick Small. It is a shooting foul. Neither team yet is in the double bonus, even after 3+ extra minutes played. Merrick Small's first free throw is no good. He has been so good from everywhere tonight except for the free throw line where he's had a disastrous night. 2 for 7. And finally gets one to go. 26 for Merrick Small. St. Francis is in the lead. Mason Wood gives it up to Eli Edwards in the corner. Edwards takes it up to the elbow, hands it to Holder. Olivet taking their time on this possession as they typically do. Edwards, beautiful pass to the cutting Dylan Fay, and Olivet has the lead for the first time in over 17 minutes. First time since it was 46-44. St. Francis is playing from behind. DeMarcy's Moore fires it out to Delshawn Sims. Sims bounces into the post for Merrick Small. Under a minute to play. Small gives inside. Joachim who lays it in. Great find by Small. Great finish by Joachim, and St. Francis is back in front. Timeout called by Olivet. 75-74 Fighting Saints. This ball game just continues to deliver. It has been exciting all the way through. And the Saints are looking for one big stop here. 46 seconds left, and the way Olivet plays, they like to take their time offensively. They run very deliberate offensive sets, and the only reason I bring that up now is because I would think there's a pretty good chance that by the time the clock runs down further on this possession, if Olivet does not score, they will almost certainly have to start fouling the Fighting Saints. So it's a huge defensive possession for St. Francis, because if they do get that stop, they could win the game from the free throw line. The problem is they haven't been doing much from the free throw line today. If the Saints don't win this, they will be able to point squarely at free throws as the reason why. They're just 6 of 14 from the line today. And they've already missed 2 of them in overtime. Doesn't mean they're in bad position. They've got the lead, but it does put more pressure on their defense. Here's Holder around the screen. Holder looks down low for Edwards. Smothered right now by Moore. So instead it's Mason Wood. Shot clock at 10. Holder fakes the shot, guarded by Grayson Harrington. Step back, finds Bennett. Down low, it's Edwards. Shot clock running down. Turnaround by Edwards is blocked by Moore, and it's a shot clock violation. 20.5 seconds on the clock, and Olivet will need a quick steal, and if they can't get it, they'll have to start fouling. Huge defensive stop for the Fighting Saints. Olivet just could not find an opening. Ultimately, they got the ball in to Eli Edwards. He's the guy they wanted taking the shot, but Edwards didn't have a clean look. DeMarcy's Moore had great defense on him, was able to come up with the block. Ball goes into Joffrey Nunnally, and Nunnally is immediately fouled. And I've been talking about all the free throw shooting struggles for the Saints today, but Nunnally hasn't taken one yet, and he's the best foul shooter on the team, 87%. Amazingly, this is just a 1-and-1. It's not a 2-shot foul. Remember, Olivet committed their 6th foul with 6 minutes remaining in the second half, and then they didn't commit another one the rest of regulation. So since then, this is just their 3rd foul over the last 11 minutes of game time. So that means that Nunnally's got to make this one to set up a second. And he does. 76-74, 19 seconds left. Olivet is out of timeouts. So if this one goes through, it'll be a 3-point game. And the Tigers will not be able to call a timeout to set up an offense. Looks like Eli Edwards has a cut on the arm, so they're going to tape him up. That's a guy the Tigers can't afford to lose for what could be the final possession coming up. But if it is a 3-point game, that's also not the guy that you want taking the final shot. He's not a 3-point shooter. So he's gotten himself taped up, and he's back in there. Big free throw coming up for Nunnally. Got it. So when it matters most, the Saints do finally come through and make both free throws. 3-point game. Olivet got to overtime with a late 3. Can they tie it again right here? Dylan Fay had a good look, decided not to take it. Instead, he drives. Fay kicks it out to Edwards. Edwards fakes, fires the 3 for the tie. It's short. Rebound to Marcy's Moore, and the Saints are going to dribble out the clock and end this one. An overtime victory, 77-74. St. Francis moves one game up on Olivet Nazarene in the CCAC standings. Big win for St. Francis tonight for so many reasons. Obviously, the stakes of the game with these two teams tied atop the CCAC coming in, but just the way this went down. It went back and forth all throughout the game. Such a close game, such a well-played game by both sides. This was really an excellent contest tonight, and the Saints made the plays they had to at the end to pull it out. Olivet hit the 3-pointer at the end of regulation to send it to overtime. They had a good look or two to send it into double overtime, but they weren't able to connect. Fay passed up on what looked like a pretty good opportunity for him. Instead, he gave it to Edwards, and I just finished saying Eli Edwards is usually the guy you want with the ball in his hands at the end of a game like this, but that's just not his strong suit. He can hit 3-pointers, but doesn't hit a ton of them. And he got a clean look at the basket, wasn't able to get it, and that's essentially how the game ended. St. Francis 77, Olivet 74. Some of the final numbers in this one, the Saints shot 53%, 46 for the Tigers. Tigers got off to that hot start, 4 of 9 from 3-point range in the first half. Second half in overtime, they went just 2 of 10. Saints, on the other hand, 1 of 7 in the first half from 3-point range, 6 of 11 the rest of the way. They finished at 39% for the game. Olivet turned it over 10 times. St. Francis turned it over 9 times. Rebounds went to Olivet, 36-30. Points in the paint were a big one for the Saints all day. They outscored Olivet 32-20 on the inside, and points off turnovers were big as well. Plus 12 in that category, or plus 9, in that category, 22-13. The individual stars in this one for the Saints, it was Merrick Small, 26 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists, a new career high in scoring for him. He was 11 of 18 from the field. Huge in the victory for the Fighting Saints. 11 points for Delshawn Sims. He hit 3 3-pointers. And DeMarcy's Moore, not a huge game, but he came up big in overtime, scoring the first 4 points. He finished with 9 and 5 rebounds. Joffrey Nunnally had a really tough night shooting the ball, went just 2 of 10, but he's the guy who hit the final 2 free throws to seal this win. Finished with 6 points in the game. For Olivet, Keegan Holder led the way with a career-high 25 points, also chipped in with 6 rebounds. They got 21 points, 7 rebounds, and a couple of steals from Eli Edwards, but it wasn't enough as he missed the 3-pointer in the closing seconds. One more time, St. Francis defeats Olivet by a final score of 77-74. The Saints improved to 18-6 overall for the season, now 13-4 in conference, winners of 7 consecutive games. Olivet with a loss falls to 16-9, 12-5 in conference, so they are now 1 game off the lead with 3 games still remaining in this season. These two teams are done with each other after they split the season series. Both teams are done with Governor State as well. Governor State did win earlier this evening, so they are now tied with St. Francis for first place in the CCAC. That'll do it for this broadcast as the Saints defeat the Tigers of Olivet Nazarene. St. Francis will have 3 games remaining this season, and they will be back at home as well to close out the year on February 21st. Next couple will be on the road. So our next broadcast will be Saturday the 21st at 3 o'clock. Until then, Terry Bonadonna signing off from the Sullivan Center, where St. Francis just defeated Olivet Nazarene in a battle of first-place teams. Have a good night. We'll talk next time.